Hey, hi, how you doing? My name's Ben, and I do all the Riftdale stuff on this channel, but you probably already knew that because you're a bunch of real smart people. But I wanted to take a moment to quickly record this little audio clip here. I'm probably not going to edit this down very much because I'm actively working on episode 7 of Tales from Riftdale right now, and I don't really want to take away any time from working on that. But as some of you have noticed, 2 new episodes of Tales from Riftdale went up on this channel about 2 weeks ago. So for those of you who follow me on Twitter, or those of you who are in the Discord chat, that's not much of a surprise. You know exactly why those went up. But for everyone else, you're kind of in the dark right now. So I just wanted to announce on this channel for you all that Tales from Riftdale is now officially streaming as a podcast. It's streaming on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, PlayerFM, and SoundCloud. Although if you want to hear the episodes the minute they're uploaded, I would recommend following Tales from Riftdale on SoundCloud. The rest of the services will also update their streams, but it's usually about within the hour of when they go up on SoundCloud. So little pro tip for you there. Don't worry, though, if you prefer to just listen to the episodes on YouTube and you don't want to follow me everywhere else, that's totally fine. I will still be posting these episodes to this YouTube channel as well. After they've aired on streaming platforms, they'll usually just end up going up here a little later than they would on iTunes and Google Podcasts and such, because I need some time to actually convert them to videos. It's a lot faster to export a audio file. So that being said, this leads into some kind of bad news for this channel. For those of you who preferred the videos and didn't care too much for Tales from Riftdale, I probably won't be making much else as far as videos and stuff like that. It's pretty much going to be entirely Tales from Riftdale, and that's it going forward. Don't worry, the videos aren't getting pulled down or anything. They'll stay up. They'll stay totally watchable on this YouTube channel indefinitely. They'll be completely unaffected. I'm just not going to be making any more than those. And I know that may come as a shock to some people, but don't worry, I'm not just saying this on a whim. This isn't just me deciding one day that I don't like making videos anymore. I've done a lot of thinking about what I want to do with Riftdale, and I have some pretty solid reasons for why I decided to go forward with just the podcast. And so here's some of them. First of all, the biggest criticism, the most common criticism that I would get on Riftdale content in general was that it was very hard to follow the story. There's, all these different formats for the videos. Like some are character Q&As. Some of them are skits between the characters. Some of them are skits between like a ton of characters. Some are, audio only podcasts, there's just all these different formats for the content. And it's hard to sometimes tell, what's the timeline here? Like what's going on here? And that's a fair criticism, and I don't want to have Riftdale be confusing. Really, the only reason I was making the content the way I was last time, or before rather, is because it was, interesting. I wanted to try all these different formats, but I'm beginning to realize that it's just hard to follow. So if I just go forward with the podcast, that's easy to follow. It's just one episode after the other. It doesn't get any easier than that. On top of that, the second reason is that podcasting just lets me do more. So when I do the skits and the character Q&As, I have sort of, I'm limited by my incredibly low budget. I'm just a guy in my living room doing, these dorky videos. And that kind of sucks. I feel like Riftdale could be a much more entertaining and much funnier, much more fun of a story if it's told in podcast form, where I'm not really so much limited by my budget anymore, and the story can become a lot more interesting and kind of explore the whole city of Riftdale and explore what's happening with all the characters. And third, I would also get the question, what's canon? You know, like, for those of you who have been following this channel for a very long time, you'll know that when the characters were first made, they weren't really made with Riftdale in mind. In fact, Riftdale didn't exist as a concept until like a year ago. You know, like I had never made these characters with a larger narrative in mind. So they were originally made just to like make little jokes in my videos. You know, I would play a character to kind of sell a joke better. And they only later were repurposed into the characters that you know today in Riftdale. So that obviously led to a lot of questions like, well, what's canon now? Like, are the videos where it's half Ben and half the character, are those still canon? What counts? And so that's a very excellent question. I don't know. I don't know what counts as canon anymore. So it's much easier to just say, you know what? Tales from Riftdale. That's canon. If it's in the podcast, it's canon. It's not going to change. And I think, you know, that just makes things a lot easier for those of you who are super into the lore of Riftdale, you know, the super compelling lore that we all know Riftdale totally has. But for those of you who are interested in the lore, yeah, like I wouldn't put too much stock in what is mentioned in videos outside of Tales from Riftdale. Not saying the videos are not canon, but I am saying that I'm not saying they're not canon, but I'm also not saying that they are canon, if that makes sense. And fourth, I honestly kind of just, I don't like the character designs. I don't like that all the characters look like me. That was not really part of the story, and I think a lot of people obviously think that they're all supposed to look like me, unfortunately. And so I don't really like that. I also don't like some of the smaller character details, like Christian's Coke stash. That's honestly not something I'm a fan of anymore. When I first made Christian as a joke character for one of my videos, it was just supposed to be this visual juxtaposition joke of like, oh, he's supposed to be this priest character, this holier than thou character, but you know, he's doing all these debaucherous things, and you know, he does hard drugs and steals from people and murders people, and it's like those two things don't typically go together in our minds, but here it is. So that was just supposed to be this juxtaposition joke, but eventually, as time went on, it slowly started to feel like to some people that I'm just like, you know, saying drug users are bad, or saying, like, making fun of a drug addict, essentially. So that's not something that I wanted to do, and I can totally see how some people started to see that. So it's little details like that in the character designs that I don't particularly like, and this kind of gives me plausible deniability and an easy out of of counting those videos as canon anymore. So yeah, so some of it is a little bit selfish. I did kind of want to do away with all the characters looking like me and some of the more minute character details. But anyway, as I said, the videos will remain up. Don't worry, they're not going anywhere. I'm not going to delete them. Just don't expect new Riftdale videos other than just the podcast, you know, moved over to video format. At the end of the day, I'm just doing Riftdale stuff for fun, and I'm having way more fun working on the podcast end of it rather than the videos, so I decided I wanted to do the podcast stuff. Other than that, be sure, if you can, to follow my Twitter in case you want to participate in future voice submission requests. The requests will also go on this YouTube channel for a while, but I'll also be posting those on Twitter too. So in case you miss it on YouTube, you won't miss it on Twitter, hopefully. But yeah, anyway, I need to go back to working on episode 7, so I hope this little audio clip kind of answered a lot of your questions, and if you have any other questions, be sure to leave them in the comments down below, and I'll try to answer them. All right, cool. Thank you very much.